What we're doing is going to chart the future of the world for the next 100 years.
To the turret. All hands stand clear of left, center, and right gun and train while lighting off.
There's no apprehension. Everybody's ready to go.
When the storm began, it was for some an odd mixture of exhilaration and anxiety. Exhilaration that the waiting had ended, that they were doing what they were trained to do. Anxiety about their safety and the safety of their colleagues.
Saddam was warned over and over again to comply with the will of the United Nations. Leave Kuwait or be driven out.
Well, it is our understanding that the battleships, the Wisconsin and the Missouri, which are in the Persian Gulf, fired a number of Tomahawk cruise missiles.
This victory belongs to the finest fighting force this nation has ever known in its history.
Late morning, departure still a few hours away. Sailors cross the gangplank with bags in hand.
More than 1,500 more sailors and Marines are Middle East bound aboard the USS Missouri.
Armed with 9 powerful 16-inch 50 caliber guns, the mighty Mo has seen its share of action over the years.
Despite the ship's years of service, the Navy says the Missouri remains one of the fastest and most dangerous of its combat ships.
Its 16-inch guns can send a shell the weight of a small car 23 miles.
It was on the deck of this ship on September 2nd, 1945, that Japan formally surrendered to the Allied forces, ending World War II. But it was not the ship's past that dominated the thoughts of loved ones, rather what the Missouri will encounter in the future.
Saying goodbye was never so hard.
Where's my husband kisses, sweetheart? My husband kisses for Daddy?
I miss him too much already, and he hadn't even gone anywhere.
It's just something we have to do. It's just a mission that we have to complete.
What is your daddy going to do?
Fight the bad guys.
Fight the bad guys? The Missouri's mission in Operation Desert Shield could be a long one.
Normal deployment is 6 months, but then these are not normal times.
Just want to get there, get it over with, and get it done and get back.
By 2 o'clock, the Missouri is ready to go.
And then it was anchors away for the 45-year-old ship.
The venerated old battleship is pulling out of Long Beach Harbor right now.
The ship slowly pulled away from the pier as hundreds waved goodbye, not knowing when they'll see their loved ones again. A grand and emotional farewell as the 1,500 sailors and the Missouri took to sea.
The men of the Missouri must now embark on the duty ahead to join the American buildup in the Persian Gulf.
Well, it's expected to take 6 weeks for the mighty Mo to complete its journey to the Gulf.
Thanksgiving night, approximately about 17:45, fire party got a call for flooding in the reefer machinery room spaces. Myself and my fire party, we arrived on scene to find approximately 3.5 to 4 feet of water in the reefer decks themselves. And we did notice the water was up above the electrical motors for the 3 reefer plants that service our 10 ice boxes that we have. Hopefully we can get this taken care of and get onward with our Westpac.
High Control, Chief Urban. I don't know. They're down here running around hollering, sir.
The USS Missouri arrived in Subic Bay Saturday afternoon. The 46-year-old Iowa-class battleship brought with her a storied history. Members of the Senate Appropriations Committee came to the Philippines to see how base negotiations have gone. During their visit, the senators had a chance to tour the 46-year-old battleship USS Missouri. With the current tension in the Gulf region, no one knows what will happen next, so most people are worried.
We want you to know that there's a substantial portion of the Congress that's totally committed to support the activities of our armed forces there and to do everything we can to see to it that this current problem with Iraq is brought to a speedy conclusion.
Now is when you put your cast mask on. You do not put your cast mask on at level 4. You wait until you hear the chemical alarm.
The locker leader entered decon station one at a time.
We're real critical in that there's only 2 lockers that can handle the chemical, biological, radiological defense. So if we do get hit with something out there, then we're going to have to be the ones who are going to go out and decontaminate the area outside and then bring the guys back in through the decontamination.
How do you think the exercise went today?
I think it went pretty well. There were some glitches, but that's what this training is for, to figure out the glitches and have it ready for when we're ready to go.
You're doing freelance.
Just got to take this moment to say hi. I love you very much and miss you.
I miss you so much, sweetheart, and I want to be there. I sleep with my beer at night, you know, and it keeps me close to you, it really does.
Don't forget my care package, please.
And we're really looking forward to coming back home. Tell the folks, tell the family, tell our little dog, you know, I wish them all Merry Christmas, and I wish I was there. And
Better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list and checking it twice. Gonna find out who's naughty or nice. Santa Claus is coming
With the ship scheduled to anchor at Bahrain in the future, and with helo support available in our operating area, that precious commodity, mail, will find its way to the ship. Reporting for KBMO News, I'm Petty Officer Lee Campbell.
Approximately 13:15 today, the merchant vessel Tabuk registered a distress signal to Missouri that it was on fire. The fire reportedly was in its main space engineering room. The CO, Captain Case, decided to send over a P-250 and part of the at-sea rescue and assistance team to provide assistance to the Tabuk.
Seconds after spotting an object in the water, Seaman White, who was a forward lookout on his station at that particular time, reported to the bridge by sound-powered phone that he had an object in the water that could possibly be a mine.
Actually touching the mine for the first time and knowing that you could be dead 1 minute, I mean just in milliseconds, and you could be gone. After you put the charge on the mine, you've actually pulled the fuse igniter, know the shot is starting to cook off, and you know in 15 or 20 minutes that the mine's going to be detonated. It's a tremendous feeling. We're just like a bunch of school kids again.
It's like the big game, like Master Chief said. It's like an athletic event. The adrenaline automatically pumps in. You know that that mine is designed for death and destruction. And while you're out there, you're going to be a big part of that if you mess up. And that's in the back of your mind. So every step you take extremely slow, and it's a thought-out process. And in a way, I guess you can say you've cheated death. If not cheated death, you possibly kept a ship from being dead in the water or taken out of action. To this day, I'm looking for more.
The liberation of Kuwait has begun.
Throughout the entire sky, there are flashes of light. Something is definitely underway here.
God.
At approximately 0100, Battleship Missouri entered war for the third time in its 50-year career. Missouri was at the forefront of the beginning phase of Operation Desert Storm as the ship launched 6 Tomahawk cruise missiles in the early morning hours and 6 more later in the morning.
The reality of life is very simply this. As of right now, we are officially at war with Iraq.
9:48 on the 17th of January.
Think about it. You are officially at war with the country of Iraq.
We are grateful for the job that we do. We are grateful for the part which we play in this theater. We are grateful that you have spared us in our ship.
Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait. These attacks continue as I speak. Ground forces are not engaged. This conflict started August 2nd when the dictator of Iraq invaded a small and helpless neighbor. Kuwait, a member of the Arab League and a member of the United Nations, was crushed. Its people brutalized. 5 months ago, Saddam Hussein started this cruel war against Kuwait. Tonight, the battle has been joined.
Desert Storm is now in its second day of operations. According to news reports, Allied bombing and missile launchings were similar in quantity to the first day of the war.
Missouri continued to support Operation Desert Storm today with a Tomahawk land attack missile launch window this morning and one scheduled for this afternoon. The first mission was to include the firing of 4 Tomahawks. However, after 3 perfect launches, a misfire occurred in the 4th missile.
Unexpected general quarters was sounded before lunch when USS Lethbridge reported incoming enemy aircraft. In the afternoon, the ship fired 4 more Tomahawk cruise missiles and fired 4 more in the evening.
The courage and the professionalism that's been exhibited by all of the people that have been involved in this campaign in the last 36 hours is nothing short of inspirational.
Day 3 of Operation Desert Storm was relatively quiet for Missouri. The ship fired no Tomahawk missiles during the day, but will fire 2 missiles tonight.
Although the war seemed far removed from the men of Missouri, that didn't mean the crew or the ship was letting down its guard. With the temporary quiet, many crew members found themselves out on deck performing the many daily and routine tasks that may have been neglected in the previous 2 days. Good evening, I'm JO2 Scott Thornblum, KBMO News. Today is day 4 of our war in the Gulf, and though it may not seem like it, the war is still definitely going on in both Iraq and Kuwait. Aboard Missouri, the war seemed a long way off as the ship conducted a half-day of holiday routine. After lunch, however, the crew was reminded of how close we really are as another Tomahawk missile was launched from the ABL deck. The launch brought to a total of 28 Tomahawks that have been launched from Mighty Mo.
The odds are exceptionally good that you will hear the roar of the big guns this evening. Contrary to popular opinion, this is not a drive-by shooting. We believe we're going to stay there for a few days.
6,560 yards. 3769 November.
37570.
Oh, left gun.
on the fire. Whiskey, this is 9 November. Roger, understand. Permission to fire.
London kicks some ass. Everybody stand by.
This video, shot before dawn out in the Persian Gulf, shows some of the huge 16-inch guns aboard the USS Missouri, firing at Iraqi positions in Kuwait.
According to the U.S. military, the heavy shells on the historic battleship were used against targets inside Kuwait. Specifically, the 60-inch guns were trained on prefabricated bunkers the Iraqis apparently brought in to withstand an Allied ground offensive.
Aircraft in the area.
Launch. Good launch, 72. Bottle away.
No rigid and 2/3.
And the bottom line is really this. You came to war, you did it with class, and we're hanging in there and giving them hell.
70. 71. Hit the net at 70.
Aggression is defeated. The war is over.
Hark! Hark! The sea back! Hark! Hark! The sea back!
So it's time to start thinking about what the shellbacks are going to do with the logs.
The mighty battleship USS Missouri. Their orders 134.
I whose authority to dare trespass within His Majesty's royal domain.
Oh, you beautiful war.
Delicious.
Beautiful is the look.
Yum, yum. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum.
What's up?
Gentlemen of Missouri, this is Admiral Barney Kelly. I'm the Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet, and just recently landed on your fantail, CH-53. My purpose to come out here today is to kind of welcome you home to America. As you notice ahead of you here, this is a typical Hawaiian day. You're going to get a typical Hawaiian reception when you come in.
We always talk about something that binds a ship together, and it's the history of the ship, the true history of the ship that bring all the people here.
All the Navy had to do was let out the word. The public could visit the USS Missouri today, and the people lined up.
So, we wanted to come out and see it.
It's the type of homecoming reserved for heroes, for men in ships who survived the battles and won the war. When the USS Missouri left Long Beach 6 months ago, she was the seasoned veteran. Now, so is her crew.
Every member of the crew just really worked hard and did their job.
The USS Missouri made a majestic return to her home harbor of Long Beach,
bringing its crew home to a spectacular welcome by several boats, pumping streams of water into the air. A colorful escort of small boats also greeted the mighty USS Missouri.
The 1,500 sailors aboard the Missouri lined the decks, anxiously waiting to be reunited with family and friends.
On the pier, their families waited, unable to hide their joy and relief.
Families from across the country were waiting at the Long Beach harbor.
This was a welcome sight for these men. Hundreds of people had waited excitedly for up to 3 hours for the ship to come in.
This homecoming was by invitation only, but you would have never guessed it by the size of the crowd.
Loved ones gripped binoculars for a sneak peek of the arriving battleship.
The 1,500 men survived an Iraqi missile attack. They're glad to be alive, glad to be home.
And they got one rousing welcome.
There were bands, some cheerleaders from the LA Raiders football team. Anxious wives would have preferred a wild rampage to the deck of the USS Missouri, but they practiced patience. There was no doubt the toughest part of a 6-month wait is the last 20 minutes.
I love you, Richard!
They did good for our country. On deck, Carlos Brand searched for his family and found them.
You see him? Here!
And soon, Carlos was holding his wife and Carlos Jr.
Words couldn't describe the obvious joy of a sailor meeting his new son for the very first time.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Oh, boy.
I miss you so much. You see your dad home, man?
All around them, families were reunited.
Never gonna get apart again.
What was it like for the men of the Missouri backing up ground forces in the Persian Gulf War?
It was very life-threatening. I'm very glad to be home.
And we launched 28 Tomahawk missiles while we were there. And then we were called into service the early part of February to the end of the war for shore bombardment support, and we fired just about 800 16-inch projectiles.
A homecoming filled with laughter, tears, and hugs, all for the heroes of the USS Missouri, veterans of the Gulf War.
Every member of the crew who feels a sense of history, and the exciting part of it is I think we got to participate in adding to the history of Missouri, and we'll all be sad to see her go.